It's so good to have you. Thank you
so good to have you here.
And just to quickly go through, we have the Nigerian Civil Aviation Regulation, and we have the Montreal Convention.
Right.
Now, the Montreal Convention, just to break it down for our viewers out there, right? It's a law. Let me just say it very simply. It's the law that covers airlines, that's the airline's operation and that of the rights of the passengers. So if a particular country signed to the treaties, it means whatever laws is in that Montreal Convention applies to that international airport across the world. And we have the local or domestic laws, which over at Nigeria, we have the Nigerian Civil Aviation Regulation that also deals with whatever passengers and the laws that have to do with air across Nigeria too, domestically. So now you're asking me what's the balance, right?
Right.
The balance is this, just like Opeyemi said earlier. She mentioned something about refunds,
compensations,
and all that. There is that.
Right.
And while there is that, we should also remember that things may happen, like she mentioned, like the act of God. Things like weather, safety, logistical constraints that might not be the fault of the airline
itself.
So you can imagine the passengers that this is my right. During the operation of the airline, for acts or things that are beyond their control, the passengers do not over pressure them. And also for the passenger, when airlines are giving them their services, they don't encroach on their right.
On that right.
Yes, that's basically it.
Thank you so much for that beautiful input. Now, Mr. Opeyemi, I'm going to bring you in here. Now, in light of the Ibom Air incident and the public concerns over selective justice, now how can Nigerian consumer protection agencies and civil aviation authorities strengthen the enforcement of passengers' rights regulations while ensuring fair and consistent application of the law to both the airlines and the passengers?
I would say that the Ibom incident is a continuing incident in the sense that we do not have all the facts yet. What we have is what is in the media, and any good lawyer knows that media only has half of the story. But now that being said, you look at the way these laws have been enforced. You have to, Adama had mentioned, you have to balance the rights of the individuals vis-a-vis the rights of the airlines themselves. So individuals should be sensitized. Because one primary issue I would say is everybody knows that right now traveling by air in Nigeria is not necessarily a luxury, but just a self-preservation exercise.
The security,
so people are trying to, preserve their lives by flying by air as opposed to exposing themselves to hazards we can meet on the road. So, when you look at that, and then an individual who has paid a considerable premium, and then they're flying, surely, even if they don't know what their rights are, there is just this human factor that just tells you when your dignity has been infringed upon. So the airlines have to make sure that they are not even the airlines now. Let's talk about NCAA. NCAA has to make sure that citizens are aware that they have a recourse, that they can make complaints. They should probably liaise with FAN to ensure that it's written in the airlines. Do you have complaints? Complain here. Call this. Now, I don't know if you're aware, but there's actually like an online complaint form that you can fill if you have complaints. NCAA, they do have like a digital complaint form. But how average Nigerians know of this? None. So, when you pay so much money and then you're expecting good quality service and then you are treated subhumanly, naturally people will react. You cannot say that unruly behavior is entirely unexpected in circumstances. So, NCAA has to take a more active approach to things, sensitizing people, seeing how they deploy technology to just feeling the mood of the people. For instance, you can mandate that after every flight, the airlines should send out customer forms on how do we do, just rate them, and then NCAA can assess these reports and know where to tell the airlines to adjust their behavior. To make sure they are aware of the rules. As much as NCAA should sensitize people, for instance, once you know rules, you know them forever. Go online. How should I behave when I'm on a plane? It's not rocket science, So individuals can also start these things, find out what avenues they have to complain. But I would say that the burden lies heavily on SCAA to take a more active approach to these things. Sensitize people, sensitization. Put it in the newspapers. This is how you should behave. And also let them know, because I think most of these issues, the issues that I would say that the average Nigerian is a well-meaning member of society who tries to adhere to most of them.
Right.
If they are aware that they have an habit and then their complaint heard, we will not have a lot of these issues, because it mostly stems from thinking you have no result or no recourse against such a behemoth like an airline.
Right.
That's my position on the matter.
Right. I would also add that we can also leverage. Okay.
The whole.
No, you can proceed. Can you hear me?
Maybe saying some. Ibom Air, I just find the efficiency of all the bodies involved rather suspicious. You've immediately dragged the individual to court. And I look at the process. Now, I don't know if this is the real process, but like I said, I don't believe the things that I see in the media that's not coming from credible sources.
Of course.
But then, the charge sheets that we've seen is magistrate court / court. Strange, because the NCAA, the Act, even the Civil Aviation Act, says that the court that has jurisdiction over the over breach of its rules is the Federal High Court.
Right.
So why do we have a process that says you are acting in the magistrate and High Court?
High Court
is completely different. The Federal High Court. So I really don't understand the magic going on there. I suppose we just have to wait and see actually how the bodies involved hope to handle this matter.
I never knew that justice could be so rapid in Nigeria. I am shocked.
Under 24 hours.
Less than 24 hours.
Then less than 24 hours. It is sad. Now, I would also add that we can also leverage technology to track compliance data and identify patterns of abuse. Ms. Munirat, I'm going to bring you in here. Okay. Now, in cases where a passenger is denied boarding access, now, what compensation rights do passengers have, and how can these rights be strictly enforced in practice? Because we've seen situations of the Kwam One situation. He was allegedly denied boarding for carrying a bottle that contained a liquid substance inside it to fly. And now, what compensation can he get? What redress can he seek?
Thank you very much, Chizaram.
Yes.
So I'm going to say this. I'm glad this section, because it goes in two ways.
Right.
The passenger right, and of course the airline obligation,
right.
and the rights and all that.
Yes.
So boarding for a reason within the airline's control. E.g., especially in Nigeria, the most popular reason why people are denied boarding is overbooking. And you discover that average Nigerian, like Opeyemi said, do not even know their rights.
Right.
They do not even know that. Sometimes, even from friends, close family, and all that, you say, there's overbooking, and they turn us back. And there's nothing you can do about it. Maybe you come back in the next 2 hours, or you come and nobody's apologizing. Nobody's telling you anything.
Right.
In this Nigeria airline services. Right. So some of them are your full refund. You're entitled to a full refund or alternative flight at no extra cost whatsoever.
Right.
I know of someone who missed their flight. Now a passenger, he missed his flight because he overslept. In that situation, you can't they should be without extra cost.
Right.
So it should be balanced.
Balance, yes.
And meals, accommodation, and transport are necessary, right?
Right.
All the stuff like that. And then monetary compensation in some cases, depending on all individual cases. However, to delve to the second part, if denial is due to breach, like this Kwam One case that you're talking about,
Allegedly,
rules are rules. Passengers must remember this. Rules are rules. Passengers must remember this. Nigerians, please, we must remember this. You are boarding an airline, and the rule the airline is saying, do not enter into the airplane with a liquid substance they have not confirmed.
Right.
And you're saying, do you know who I am? or I'm just saying generally now, not verbatim what Pamwa must have said, right? No, I can take it, I can find my way in. I know, we are always saying that the Nigerian government should make sure the country is going well. Even it starts from the citizens and our attitude towards little things and services we even received in the restaurant, airline, and traffic, as little as obeying traffic
regulation
and all that. Yes, right. And then he said no, and the next thing, we are standing in front of the plane to obstruct. Now back to the airline again, right? This is the beauty of today's program. Back to the airline again. Regardless of how incarcerate a passenger is, a citizen, a human being, a person, and he has imposed a danger by standing in front of the plane, like Opeyemi said. That's what I've been saying all the while. These situations have shown that Nigerian airlines are not equipped or trained to handle situations.
Do you still think in that situation they still owe him a duty of care?
In fact, how will I put it? Verily. Okay. The plane is not supposed to move as long as an individual is standing there. Look at all the countries. It doesn't matter if he was right or wrong. Yes, the passenger is supposed to follow the rule. But then, the value for human life is above every other thing. That's why you see when they catch a criminal, they don't just kill you and cut your neck. They take you to court process. You go for remand to the extent. If you go to prison, fine. If you are sentenced to death, fine. Because there is a system. We cannot live like we're in a jungle.
You're still innocent until proven guilty.
So definitely, it should be balanced. Like she said, like the Nigerian aviation industry, let them look into equipping, teaching, and giving orientation to these airline service providers to learn how to escalate. To learn how to de-escalate situations. To de-escalate issues peacefully without disruption. If Kwamwan had not ducked his head like we saw in the video, what we'll be saying today will be different.
Also to add to what you said with the Ibom Air situation, like you said, airlines should learn to de-escalate situations. Like we saw a video of where they were dragging the lady and out of the plane and even almost stripped her naked.
And please, I must mention that on board misbehavior. I'm sorry, I have to break it down a bit. On board misbehavior is you putting out some behavior that's contrary to whatever it is that is stated in the act. Whatever act that governs the rules of that airline. So when you go against those rules, simple things like off your phone. Okay, flight mode is good, right? Flight mode. But if the attendant is saying off your phone, it's just a few hours trip, just off your phone, just to follow the rules. Nothing is going to fall. But however, she has made a mistake. She has misbehaved. Now, let me not digress on what the particular point I want to on board misbehavior. To some persons, they might think it's a civil matter, it's a civil misdemeanor, I'll just let it go. No, it's criminal. It's actually criminal.
Of course.
But however, the airlines should learn to de-escalate issues without disruptive measure. See the way she was dragged just because she had some onboard misbehavior here and there does not mean she should be assaulted. Like we saw in the video. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
That we saw in the video. It's nothing justifies you taking the dignity of someone because you want two wrongs, actually.
Don't make it right.
So I'll just stop there for time.
Now, Mr. Opeyemi, back to you. Now, what is the extent? Are you still there, Mr. Opeyemi?
Oh, yes. I was going to add to that point, but let's just move on.
Oh, okay. You can still add to the point if you have something to say.
Okay, so what I was just going to say was just the fact that unruly behavior truly is criminal because when I started this session, I told you we have like such excellent legislation, sub-legislations for it. But truly the laws do cover everything. For instance, if you check section 85 of the CAA, that's the Civil Aviation Act, 2022. It does provide in 85 for unruly behavior. Say when a person is being unruly, is not compliant with orders, then the punishment is 2 months, not more than 2 months imprisonment or a fine of 200,000. So,
Yes.
Had the airline she's been aware that okay, we can't punish her. If she's also aware that our unruly behavior does carry this kind of sanction. You could literally be in prison for 2 months to be asked to pay 200,000.
Right.
Then you can see that money help people behave better. Additionally, also the pilot is also in the rules. It's either in the regulations or the act this time. The pilot does and the air hostess do have a right to give you instructions.
Instructions,
if
of
you are
course.
being non-compliant, yes, they can deboard you. So I think the situation just escalated, like flowing from the limited knowledge or limited information we have in the media. The situation escalated beyond control. She could not even have been boarded, not have reason to speak after the flight. The pilot had the right to say, okay, you know what, if you do not comply, I am not going to move. And I'll give you a first-hand account of an incident, which although not also handled excellently, but they did take a better approach. This is first-hand account. So there was an individual in a plane, a gentleman, and for some reason, similar situation, refused to turn off his phone, refused to put it on airplane mode. And the pilot just said, okay, you know what, you are being non-compliant, no problem, I'm not going anywhere. And then the passengers had to motivate and persuade him to comply. Why? Because that pilot was just more informed, and she said, okay, I'm not just going to go anywhere.
Right.
You are compliant.
Right.
So
that's more like it.
That's more like it.
That's why information is key.
Of course. Thank you so much. Now we will go on a short break and we'll be right back.
Camera rolling.
In a bid to tackle the growing security challenges faced by farmers across Nigeria, the Leadership Hub Justice and Economic Advancement, LJE Nigeria, paid a strategic visit to the Delta State Commissioner for Agriculture. The visit aimed to discuss the impact of insecurity on agriculture and national food security, and to seek collaborative solutions with the State Ministry of Agriculture.
Sir, the group name is Leadership Hub Justice and Economic Advancement. So the Honourable Commissioner, they want to know why you are here.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Precisely, we understand the importance of this industry. And if you have been seeing some notice about campaign going on around the country, Operation Free the Bush in Nigeria, the AG in Nigeria is championing the Operation Free the Bush. Behind the Operation Free the Bush, we are also campaigning Operation Restrict the Movement of Cattle in Nigeria. The Leadership of Justice and Economic Advancement is a leadership advocacy organization. We are into justice, we are into leadership advocacy and economic advancement for training young people within the country and outside the country. Precisely why we are here, sir, there is a growing problem in this country. And just on Tuesday here, we were invited by the Inspector General of Police to come and give account about what we are advocating for operation restriction of movement of cattle. We tend to be very careful not to itemize it as cattle Fulani herdsmen. No, we refer them to cattle rearers. We have made similar presentation to Benin State and Ministry of Agriculture, received by the Commissioner for Agriculture, and we have been moving around the country personally, along with my team in Abuja. I have a document I'm going to present to you, but we are organizing a national conference in Abuja Nav Center, taking place on the 30th of September and on the 1st of October in Abuja. This conference basically is securing Nigeria's future, addressing the root causes of the herdsmen-farmer conflict through justice and inclusive dialogue. We have carried out a very comprehensive research about the issue of herdsmen-farmers crisis, and we have come to identify it in a very common term. To identify this thing to be that the herdsmen, the cattle rearers are businessmen, the farmers are businessmen. What we are presenting to Mr. President and to governors across the country is that there is a need for us to systematically implement complete restriction of movement of cattle in Nigeria. How do we do that? We will do that by recognizing the fact that these guys are business people. The cattle rearers should be able to provide certain portions of land, for the purpose of rearing their cattle and completely restricting the movement of cattle. Today, people can no longer go to farm. People cannot plant, even at your backyard, you can't even plant crops at your backyard because the cattle rearers will move their cattle from one place to another and consume the crops. It is a very difficult issue for us to cope if we don't address this issue from the roots. And that is why we are here to present to you the document for the Securing Nigeria's Future, addressing the root causes of the herdsmen farmers through justice and inclusive dialogue.
The president of LJE Nigeria formally presented an invitation to the upcoming national conference titled
Welcome back to the conversation. Now, before we move on to the next question, I don't know if anyone has any other thing to say, any other comments to make on the Ibom Air situation.
I think I should just go first, right?
Right.
Chizaram.
Right.
The situation that was handled there was entirely not in attendance with the Aviation Regulation Act and rules that we have.
Right.
To de-escalate an issue, right?
Right.
It's something that should be in the DNA of this airline service provider. We don't know whatever it is that transpired inside the plane, right? So we can't even talk about that. But however, allegedly, it was about switching off the phone or not. I just want to do a very little analysis.
Of course.
And then the plane landed at this point. Opeyemi said something, and that's more like it.
Of course.
Like the pilot refused to move. That's a very good measure. Instead of all the shouting and screaming, I believe that would have been so effective. Opeyemi, if I'm not mistaken, somehow his phone would have been switched off or he would have been deboarded.
Right. Right.
Now, the plane has landed, right? And then the hostess is blocking the entrance and not allowing the passenger to move and come out. So from the various videos we are seeing from the angle of the passenger and the angle of the airline, one person is saying, this person is not allowing me to go out. This person is saying, this person is slapping me. This is a very volatile person, a provoked person, an angry person, and you are blocking the person. In my opinion, you set yourself there for someone who is volatile and angry to keep assaulting you over and over again. And you are still standing there. Back to the passengers and to everyone. We should learn to control our emotions as people because we are not in the jungle. We have laws that
govern us. Yeah.
No matter how angry you are, you shouldn't lay your hands on people. You should be careful with verbal damage to the other person.
There's something you usually say, where your hands stops, that's where my nose starts. Yeah.
Where my nose stops, that's where your right stops. Exactly.
Yeah.
When you bring your hand there, your right is at ended. I always need to say that.
Of course.
I don't know if you understand. Mm-hmm. Are you seeing the way the situation is coming?
Right.
Just the way we are telling you that the aviation has the regulation and rules that the passenger, like Opeyemi said something. That's what is making me to make this comment. She said some of the Nigerians, average Nigerians, is not even aware that they have where they can seek recourse from or redress from, right? The same way this aviation regulation and law also apply to the aviation, to the airline people, service providers. We have Airline, you have her details. She could even leave that spot at that moment to de-escalate the issues. Her profile. And everything will be there. You can invite her later. And you won't need to arrest if her onboard behavior
was bad.
Was bad and against the act. But dragging her, exposing her breast,
men dragging her out of the
when you see this kind of stubbornness, you must find a way. This is the eye opener. You must find a way. Same thing as Form 1. No matter how wrong a life is a life.
A life, of course.
You don't move that plane. That means that journey should just wait for now because someone is in front of the manner at which, though she said they gave us signal, allegedly they gave us signal that Kwan One has left the place. That's why she moved. But someone was still standing there before he moved. And please, I just hope that the aviation sector will see this loophole as serious as it is, and create more awareness, more orientation, and put their foot to the ground to make sure that these excellent laws, like Opeyemi will refer to it,
are being enforced
to the letter.
Yes, thank you so much for that comment. Now, Mr. Opeyemi, I'm going to come to you. Are you still there, Mr. Opeyemi?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Now, Mr. Opeyemi, what is the extent of an airline's liability for lost, damaged, or delayed baggage, and how can passengers effectively pursue compensation?
Okay.
Right.
Say the liability, you have to look at the Montreal Convention for that. And that's because when we do have the CAA, sorry, it used to be NCAA. So when we do have the CAA, that's the Civil Aviation Act. Now, if you look at Section 55 of the Civil Aviation Act, what it literally did was to say, in plain terms, look here, just take what is in the Montreal Convention and superimpose it here.
Wow.
Essentially, it's saying the provisions of the Montreal Convention is what is applicable in Nigeria when it comes to wage claim, loss, delays, and all that. What you just do as an average individual is you look at section 17, 22, and 31 of the Montreal Convention, which I will summarize. So 17 is telling 22 and 31 is telling you how much exactly you will be entitled to should any of these things befall you. Now, there's this currency, we call it the SDR, that's special drawing right, especially an IMF currency that takes the aggregate of the, should I say, world's dominant currency. So you're looking at currency for the United States, it's yen, the Chinese renminbi, the euro, and the pound sterling. So the aggregate of that is how to get it out. Now, it's 1,288 SDR.
Right.
That's limits how much you can get for damages, delays, or loss to your baggage. So that's the limit. That doesn't mean, should you misplace a baggage, you will get 1,288 SDR.
Yes.
And I think I should also mention that the 1999 Montreal Convention right now, what you will actually find there is 1,000. But however, if you read further, you'll see that they provide for 5-year period. So that account 1,288. That's the current value.
Okay.
Like 2.6 million at today, 2.6 billion naira if you convert it to Nigerian currency. So that's the maximum you're going to get, not on each bag, as an individual passenger.
Oh, as an individual passenger. Okay.
Yes, it's not on each baggage. For instance, we usually allow 28 kgs and then 4 kg.
Right.
The sum total, the limit you will get, the maximum amount you will get is 1,288 SDR.
Okay.
And when we're talking about this limit, it doesn't mean the moment you lose your luggage, you get 1,228. It's quite the opposite. You get exactly the value of your loss, or you get to the tune of your loss. However, should you suffer greater than 1,288 SDR and not get more than that, that's what we mean by limit of liability.
Right.
You will not get more than that should your loss be more than that. But should your loss be less than that, you will only get exactly what you have lost.
Okay.
So there is that on one hand. There are exceptions to this rule. Two primary exemptions. The first exemption is when you have made like a special declaration of interest. Essentially, you told them, why, look, the value of my package exceeds the compensation I will get. When you make that, usually what happens in practice, when you make that special declaration of interest, then they charge you a supplementary fee. So when you pay that supplementary fee, then you can break that limit of liability. That's on the one hand. And then on the other hand, you can break the limit of liability where you can prove that the loss or the damage occurred because of gross negligence or gross misconduct on the part of the airline. When we're talking about airline now, we're talking about this. But no, the airline, the carrier, Because basically, you see, when you get your air ticket, that your air ticket, it creates a contract between you and the airline. Right. When you're talking about passengers, it's you. Yes, you just create a contract. So it's you and then the airline. And when we're talking about the airline, you know the airline is this invisible thing. We're talking about basically the passenger, not the passenger, sorry. We're talking about the employees of the airline, their servants, their privies, basically just people who act on the behalf of the airline. So in order to break the liability on ground, you have to show that it was their gross misconduct. It's not just enough that you suffered loss, damage, but that willful gross misconduct. They were being very reckless, and in that recklessness, they had knowledge that recklessness will lead to loss. So those are the two grounds that can cause you to get more than 1,288 SDRs. And then you asked about how you can make the complaint. One of the things I would say that usually debars Nigerians or domestically is the fact that we are very used to verbal complaints. And unfortunately, since they've just directly imported Montreal Conventions to apply through Section 55, you do have to follow the provisions of the Montreal Conventions, which says that the complaint must be in writing. So if you've just gone on your merry way to say, excuse me, I'm official, I've lost my books, and they say, oh, we do apologize, go home and come back later. And then the time to see the window of making the complaint, it's like, that's your loss.
Right.
You are bad. Only way you do the bad fraud. So you do have to make sure you make the complaint in writing, and then you have to also be aware of the time limitation for loss. If it's loss and you apply, the SDA, let's just to the Montreal Convention.
Right.
So if it's for loss, you do have to make the within 21 days of when you were supposed to receive the parcel. If it's damaged, you should make it immediately or no later than 7 days within when you observed. Now, remember I made reference to the NCCA by accident. Now, I did that because the NCCA regulations does make a little bit of provision for laws. It has like just one, I think that's 20 or 19, I cannot remember at this moment. But it does make 2 or 3 statements about what's it called, damages to baggage as well. And usually people prefer to claim under NCAA for domestic, for domestic baggage laws and everything, because the system is more appealing as opposed to the country convention and using the CAA 2020. So I suppose I've covered most of the
yes, you
have to make timing, you have to make sure I almost emphasize enough how it must be in writing. Do not lodge a verbal complaint and go on your merry way. You have done nothing.
It must surely be in writing. Thank you so much for that smart input. I really appreciate it. Now, Ms. Moit, I'm going to also bring you in here. Now, are airlines obligated to provide care? For example, meals, accommodation, transportation during long delays, and what legal standards define reasonable assistance?
Thank you. I think Opeyemi has mentioned that earlier in the rights of obligation. So not to go on that, precisely Part 19 of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Regulation, both internationally and this act I just mentioned now. Let me just go straight to the point. Delay of 2 hours, right? You're entitled to meal and refreshment.
Yeah, during waiting periods.
Yes, if you are delayed.
Yes.
If you are delayed, that waiting period. Yes. If you are delayed for 2 hours, then you're entitled to meals and refreshment.
Okay.
I'm sure most average Nigerians might not be aware of this Part 19 of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Regulations. If you are delayed for 4 hours, meals, refreshments, and communication facilities, meaning someone is talking to you, someone is trying to pacify you, not just sit down there, nobody is talking or caring. I don't know if you understand. Meals, refreshments, communication facilities. So if it's overnight delays, we have hotel accommodation, which I doubt
That happens in
if it's
Nigeria.
being done in Nigeria here, or any passengers in Nigeria is actually asking for that right. And ground transport reasonable assistance, meaning support proportion to the length of delay and the passenger's immediate need. So this means that they delay you and all that. If I was in so place at so time, if you had not delayed me, this is what I would have done. This is the amount I would have needed. They could actually assist you. Could. Not necessarily so compulsory. They could actually assist you.
So are you saying that this is not a compulsory law for
yes, no, it's compulsory, but depends on if you're people abuse law.
Okay.
If they are aware something like this exists, they might just find a way to maybe just find a way to make sure they are being delayed for them to be helped at no extra cost.
No,
right?
but you
I'm sorry,
you
I
can't
have
be
to think like a
compensated.
Nigerian at this point. You know our people.
You can't be compensated if you're the one that delayed the ship flight. So yeah, of course.
So that's what I'm trying to say, like, it must be reasonable. That support proportionate to the length of delay and the passenger's immediate need, provided at no extra cost. Right. Then no provision is a breach that can be reported to NCAA for enforcement. And that's what Opeyemi has been mentioning.
Yes.
You see that time, she said, time. And you think she said something that struck me. Usually, I have a friend who lost her luggage. I lost my luggage. Sorry, just go and come.
And nothing was done about it.
I don't even up to this moment, that luggage is gone. I think she had everything, if you calculate it, was up to like 250,000 plus the box and everything.
What of items?
It's gone. We have time limit. And like she said, 21 days and 7 days and all that. So should be aware. So it's not only lawyers who should read the law and know the law. If you are using a particular service all the time, every time you're flying from here to there, like you said, for your safety, and read their laws.
Read their terms. Read your terms and conditions.
The issue we have in Nigeria, we always refuse to be informed.
Yeah, of course. I feel like sometimes when you just log into an app or you go to a website, you don't read the terms and conditions. We should do well as Nigerians, as citizens, to try read these laws.
Know what applies to this particular
airline
all the time. If it's airline, just know wherever you find yourself.
Of course,
non-provision to this thing I just mentioned. As low as they delay you for 2 hours, they must give you a meal. This is the very least. And if they refuse, they can report to the NCCA for enforcement. And on the other leg, like I always say, please, NCCA, when these complaints come in, let it not be like the normal regular Nigerian agencies. They will just make it like, okay, this is it.
You dismiss because if you
only the more powerful or the more richer will be favored.
And I feel like I genuinely believe that that's one of the reasons why Nigerians don't like to report things like this, because they always believe that they will be dismissed as even before getting there.
Thank you.
So
I was on a live on LJ Nigerian live on TikTok, and we're talking about this matter. So I was trying to explain a point there, and I said, like, in Nigerians, we have laid down rules, just the way Opeyemi said, and he got upset, seriously upset. They said if he was a rich person, they wouldn't have tried that. That I can imagine if it was his daughter. Who dares his daughter like this? Please, Nigerian government, this should not be the narrative that you should accept. The mindset of your citizen is that they do not believe in all these excellent laws you have laid down, because your agencies are the body that are in charge of making this law come to pass. Dismiss it.
Of course.
Sometimes they don't care. Sometimes you have to even... I will reserve my comment. Thank you, Chizaram.
Thank you so much, Ms. Munirat, for that input. Now, Ms. Opeyemi, I don't know if you're still there.
Yes, right. Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you. I'm going to ask you the next question. I think this is your final question. Thank you. Now, what obligations do passengers themselves have in terms of documentation, check-in deadlines, and conduct, and how might breaches affect their rights?
I would say simply put, they have a duty of compliance.
Okay.
So if your airline or if your carrier has said arrive 30 minutes before boarding time, please comply. So you do have a duty to comply to the time. Don't say, okay, because my flight is for 6:30, I will arrive at 25. Then when you get boarding, you are like, I cannot believe you have done this to me. You're being unfair.
Right.
For instance, the flight is then delayed, then you need to insist that because of that delay, you should be checked in. Check-in time might have closed. So please comply with the time of arrival. Please bring in proper documentation. Sometimes people forget to bring the slip, because there's this slip, that they give to you.
NIN slip, okay.
Airlines require you to bring your NIN, and then some people forget, and they somehow still insist on receiving the service.
Right.
So we do have to be compliant. If they ask you to bring whatever documentations, please bring them.
Right.
And then there was it's just a two-in-one question. I'm trying to remember the other part of it. Please, could you remind me?
I said, what obligations?
Yes, you asked. Sorry, how it affects
how the breaches affect their rights?
Yes, that was the question.
Yes.
He who comes to anything must be
Clean hands. Yes. Yes.
On the other hand, remember I told you that that's your ticket that you have bought. So in that ticket and all the whole, when you click on the policy of tell me that you've accepted our terms and conditions. Those are the terms of the contract. You breach it by, for instance, delaying. You cannot delay coming to board your flight. Insist on the compensation that should be given for delay on the part of the airline. So if you breach the terms of your contract, then clearly it is unlikely that you will be entitled to compensations.
Right.
Or the only time you will be entitled to compensation is if the breach on the part of the airline is so gross, and even when the airline's breach is so gross, you will have your own fault, and we call this contributory negligence. So there's this doctrine of contributory negligence, where even if the airline has misbehaved, for lack of a better word, or if they have rendered improper service, because you contributed to it, whatever compensations you will get will be reduced, because the courts or the tribunal will factor in your own, your own expertise and your own inadequacies to contributing. So there is that. So if you want to be able to claim full compensation, and I'll give you a more practical example. If you refuse to package your baggage well, for instance, your baggage, some people posting at seams, like some seams are even ripping off, then you say that your baggage has been destroyed, and you want to claim, let's say the value is 2.6 million, and you want to do everything. Of course, when the calculation has been done and loss is being adjusted, they have to factor in the fact that you contributed to this damage by bringing by improper packaging.
Right.
So if you will even get anything, if that improper packaging will not completely wipe out your claim. So there is that. It's a check and balance. You'll be compliant so that your compensation or your remedies will not be affected. Yes, be compliant so that your remedies will not be affected.
I totally agree with you. To further reiterate what you said, like you mentioned, passengers must be present present valid travel documents and visas that are required, and arrive at the check-in points within the stipulated time frame, and also follow airline rules and baggage behavior. And failure to meet these obligations may also result to a denied boarding, like you had mentioned earlier. Thank you so much, Mr. Opeyemi, for that thoughtful contribution. Now, Ms. Munirat, down to the last question to round off the conversation. Right. How can digital ticketing and online complaint system be leveraged to improve accountability and transparency in the aviation industry?
I will begin by this. In every sphere of life,
right,
digitalization has come to wipe out complex analog system, right? So it applies also to this. digital tools are a game changer, right? For passengers' rights enforcement. They enable, let's say, one for instant notification. We have been reiterating all this while, like we have been saying over and over again, you inform the passenger if there's a delay and all that, right? So one of the thing this can do is for immediate and quick notification or whatever information you want to pass to your passenger. And this reminded me, Opeyemi, are you still there? Opeyemi, are you still there? So yeah. I think yesterday we were talking, you mentioned something that made me laugh so much. You were talking about how Nigeria Airlines, their language, they speak very ridiculous British accent. I'm sorry, still making me laugh. Yes, very ridiculous British accent that most times the passengers will not understand. So I think
it's impossible, because at the end of the day, what you want to do is communicate.
Exactly.
And then when you take the deadline, you can very things. If no communication has been done,
Yeah.
because
Yes. Yes. Welcome to Nigeria. Welcome to Nigeria, where we admire other people's accents over us. Exactly. I resonate with that.
Of course.
Yes.
You don't need to be, just communicate clearly, please.
Yes.
So that we understand you.
Yeah. So I think one of the things this digital ticketing and online complaint system can do, I'm even talking about digitalization as a whole.
Right.
In terms of communication, it could be faster for me to see, like I'm aware that when I check my text, I've seen messages and seeing replies, or like, for example, this is a flight is about to move. As I announced it, I am reading it, so I cannot miss it, no matter how thick the accent. Then we have electronic claim filing, reducing paperwork and delays processing. Then evidence preservation, it's good. Like, for example, now look at this, whatever happened with this Ibom case. We have some video clips here and there, through the CCTV and the rest. And then just to follow through all the process, the communication from the very beginning, I am asking that I want a ticket, to the very last moment, whether I landed or not, whether I boarded or not, there will be evidence as time goes on. And data-driven oversight. Regulators can detect patterns of repeated violation by airlines.
Right.
That is one of the things. Like, you can check if this passenger is repeatedly violate or have onboard misbehavior, or if the airlines violated the passenger's rights and obligation. So at the end of the day, when properly integrated, this system shifts the balance of power, right, towards passengers, making rights to claim easier, and also making the airlines also to easily detect, this person is like this time, for example, this Ibom girl, if it was just like, okay, let's just see how it goes. So this is how this person behaved the other time. We will not grant you a ticket yet. Imagine they don't grant her a ticket once or twice. I think next time when she's coming by the third time that she has applied, she will behave well. There's so many ways to I don't use the word. There's so many ways to end the rat. Right.
I believe that another way to just add to what you said is that real-time updates on flight status, the delays and cancellations, and also easier tracking, like you just mentioned, and submission of compensation claims with electronic evidence, and also enhanced data collection for regulators to monitor airline performance, like you just mentioned, and also more transparent communication channels between passengers and airlines. Thank you. Thank you.
So it's been a pleasure being here with you today. Thank you very much.
Thank you both. Thank you, Ms. Opeyemi, for being here. Are you still there?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We've come to the end of today's episode. Thank you so much for being here.
And please, is it all right if I just add, because I realized I just mentioned the NCAA regulations, regulations 19. Okay. There are a lot of regulations, so someone who's going to look through it for themselves doesn't get confused. So you're looking for regulation 19.
Okay.
You're looking for the civil aviation. You're looking for the CAA 2022. So yes.
Right. Thank you so much for that input. Thank you, Will, for your contributions. And remember, knowing your rights and responsibilities is the ticket to safer skies and better travels, experiences for all. Don't forget to stay informed, fly informed, and stay empowered. Now, join us next time on Justice and follow us on all social media handles as LJE Nigeria. And until then, bye.